Let's go!
Hey everybody, Coach Scott here, and today I want to share with you a recent story that came into my life and God began to speak to me, and I want to share with you how He spoke to me, and hopefully this will bless some of you as well. You see, recently I was driving home from a speaking engagement, and by the time that I had gotten through with the day of teaching, I was mentally and I was physically exhausted. And although I didn't want to stop, my little gas light popped on, and I knew I had to make it home. I couldn't make it all the way on empty. And suddenly the overwhelming feeling of a Krispy Kreme donut came into my mind when I walked into the gas station. There it was, the box of Krispy Kreme donuts, and they just popped into my mind. And I thought to myself, you know what? I deserve this as a reward for all the hard work that I've been doing. And after all, I'm in maintenance phase anyway, and I should do something special for myself. And as soon as it came into my mind and I had that thought, God suddenly reminded me of all of you. Not to shame me, but to guide me and to strengthen me. He reminded me of all the reasons that I started LT360 in the first place. And yes, I could have caved into one of those donuts and again, I would have been fine. But the thought of letting someone else down kept me from making that choice. So my question is, what was the emotional attachment to the donuts in the first place? Now, if you remember, recently I shared with you about a study that demonstrated how sugar activates pain-killing receptors in our brain through what we call the dopamine reward pathway, or the DRP. And these are the same pathways that drugs like cocaine and morphine use. And that's really scary if you think about it. So the connection to reach out for the donuts had a chemical component as well as an emotional attachment with it. And that's a double whammy. But here's the great news. The great news is that I now understand my choices, and I know that I can make the right one anytime I'm faced with that type of situation. And with God's help, you can too beat the thing that once controlled a large part of my life, and that was food. I understand that many of my mood swings and even some of my depression that I battled in the past came from as a result of the enemy taking advantage of chemical imbalances in my own brain. However, when we call on God to help us make the right decisions, we are free to trust Him with our emotions. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle or you're not going to sometimes even be afflicted, but it does mean that God promises to deliver us. And the Bible says in Psalm 34:19, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. So today, you might even feel afflicted. You might even feel overwhelmed or burdened with the task of getting healthy. And it's a gigantic task. But know that God is working to bring you health. He's working to bring you happiness and wholeness. And it might not be as fast as you want, but you have to trust that God is working with you and He is for you. Now, it may not be just an affliction with health or food. Afflictions can take on many different forms. Could be a financial hardship. Could be an old temptation that keeps coming right back at you time and time again. It could be a difficult work environment or a co-worker that's causing you all kind of problems with you. It could even be a broken relationship with a family member. There are so many things that the enemy brings against us. You have to remember that those afflictions are only temporary. They're only temporary. And although you may be in a valley right now, you have to remember you're just passing through. So stay in faith today. Believe that God's going to turn it around for you. And if you'll do that, I believe and declare that you will be all that you were created to be. God bless you guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.